Ryan Gosling pulled his vintage Chevrolet C10 into the grand entrance of his new condominium complex just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, dramatic shadows across the impeccably manicured grounds. Dressed casually in a well-worn flannel shirt and jeans, he exuded an air of unpretentious elegance that contrasted sharply with the sleek luxury surrounding him. The soft hum of his truck's engine faded into silence as he stepped out onto the polished pavement, the cool evening breeze stirring a few stray hairs and carrying with it the faint scent of salt from the nearby ocean. At the gate, a tall security guard in a crisp uniform stood at his post, eyes narrowed with suspicion. The guard's gaze shifted from the classic truck to the unassuming figure of Ryan, whose calm smile belied the tension that was about to unfold. "Good evening," the guard said in a clipped tone, his voice laced with an undercurrent of doubt. "Do you live here? I haven't seen you before." Ryan's eyes twinkled with quiet amusement as he replied, "Yes, I'm a new resident. My name is Ryan Gosling, and I'm moving into apartment 52. The guard's brow furrowed as he repeated the name under his breath, clearly skeptical that a man with such a renowned name would arrive in a modest truck rather than a sleek limousine or some other symbol of ostentation. "Ryan Gosling?" the guard asked slowly, his tone shifting to one of disbelief. "That's a famous name, but you don't exactly fit the usual profile for residents here." His gaze drifted dismissively toward the truck, its faded paint and well-used appearance contrasting with the glimmering expanse of the complex. "I need to verify your details before I can let you in." Without a hint of irritation, Ryan nodded and said, "I understand. I have all the necessary documents in my truck. Please allow me a moment." He walked back to his vehicle and retrieved a neat folder from the glove compartment, then returned to the gate and extended it toward the guard with a steady, respectful tone. The guard took the folder, glancing at the papers with a critical eye as he muttered, "These might be in order, but the system still doesn't show your name. You'll have to wait until management updates the records." The air between them grew heavy with unspoken tension. A few curious residents peered discreetly from behind tinted windows, their faces reflecting a mix of surprise and intrigue as they witnessed the unfolding scene. Ryan, maintaining his composure, replied calmly, "I appreciate your diligence. I assure you there's been a delay in updating the system, but I can wait for a few minutes if necessary." His words, measured and courteous, carried a quiet strength that did little to ease the guard's entrenched skepticism. "Please understand," the guard continued, his tone growing more defensive. "We have strict protocols here. We can't just let anyone in without confirmation. I've been on duty for years, and I know the procedures well." His eyes, however, betrayed a hint of uncertainty, as if the more he scrutinized Ryan, the less convinced he became that this man did not belong. As minutes ticked by and the fading light deepened into dusk, the guard's impatience became palpable. He tapped the folder against his uniform, scanning the surrounding area as if expecting management to appear and validate his concerns. Ryan stood nearby, the cool evening air ruffling his hair, his expression one of serene confidence despite the mounting pressure. The sounds of distant traffic and murmurs of late-night conversations filled the silence between them. Finally, with the sky now a deep shade of twilight, the guard's tone took on a sharper edge. "Sir, if you don't mind, I must contact the administrator to confirm your residency. This could take a while." His voice was firm, bordering on curt, and Ryan could sense the guard's underlying disdain, an unspoken judgment based solely on appearances. Ryan replied quietly, "I'm happy to wait. I trust that once everything is clarified, you'll understand that I belong here." His eyes met the guard's for a brief moment, an unspoken challenge mingled with genuine calm. At that precise moment, as if on cue, a figure emerged from the building. A middle-aged administrator with a look of mild confusion that quickly turned to recognition. The administrator's eyes widened as he approached the gate and looked directly at Ryan. "Mr. Gosling?" he asked, his voice laden with both surprise and immediate remorse. "I apologize for the delay. Your arrival was expected. There has been a hiccup in our system, but you are indeed our new resident of apartment 52. The guard, caught off guard by the administrator's tone, looked away, his earlier confidence crumbling into embarrassment. Ryan accepted the administrator's apology with gracious calm, his demeanor still unruffled. The administrator then instructed the guard to open the gate, assuring him that the matter would be addressed promptly. As the gate slowly swung open, Ryan paused for a moment, his gaze lingering on the now silent guard. It was a look that conveyed both disappointment and a silent hope that one day, everyone would be treated with the respect they deserved, regardless of appearances. Ryan then stepped forward, leaving the tension behind him as he drove into the sanctuary of the luxurious condominium, the night's drama giving way to the promise of a new beginning. After the gate swung open, Ryan drove slowly into the illuminated courtyard, the soft hum of his truck's engine harmonizing with the ambient sounds of the quiet, upscale neighborhood. The night was deepening into a gentle calm, and the warm glow of meticulously landscaped gardens contrasted sharply with the earlier tension at the entrance. Ryan parked his truck in a designated area near the grand lobby of the condominium. Even as he prepared to step inside, his thoughts lingered on the encounter with the security guard, a reminder that appearances often lead to hasty judgments. With a composed sigh, he gathered his belongings and made his way through the gleaming entrance, the polished marble floors reflecting the subtle elegance of the place. Inside the lobby, soft classical music played in the background, and discreet attendants moved efficiently to assist residents. Ryan paused for a moment near a marble reception desk where a well-dressed receptionist greeted him with a warm smile after hearing his name. "Welcome, Mr. Gosling," she said, confirming the administrator's earlier assurance. A sense of relief washed over him as he signed in and received a small key fob for accessing his floor. While he waited for the elevator, his mind replayed the earlier incident. The memory of the guard's skeptical eyes and the whispered judgments made him wonder how often people, even in a place designed for luxury, let their assumptions color their interactions. Determined not to dwell on the negativity, Ryan pressed the elevator button and stepped into a sleek, softly lit car that whisked him upward to his new home. The ride up was brief, yet each passing floor deepened his reflection on the nature of trust and human decency. He recalled how the administrator's timely intervention had restored order and dignity to an otherwise awkward situation, and he couldn't help but feel both sympathy and understanding for the guard's predicament. Perhaps, he mused, the guard had been molded by a system that valued conformity over compassion, where a well-known name and a pristine vehicle were taken as the norm. Ryan resolved that he would make an effort to foster a different kind of environment within his new home, one where kindness could triumph over bias. When the elevator doors opened, Ryan stepped out into a corridor that was both modern and inviting. Soft carpet muffled his footsteps as he walked toward his apartment. The walls were adorned with tasteful art, and the ambient lighting gave the space an almost ethereal quality. As he inserted his key fob into the door, he paused for a moment, taking in the quiet promise of a fresh start. Inside, the apartment was spacious yet understated, reflecting a minimalist style that suited his personality. Large windows offered a view of the city below, where twinkling lights hinted at endless possibilities. Ryan set his bag down and sank into a comfortable chair by the window, his thoughts drifting back to the evening's earlier events. He wondered if the guard, now left to confront his own reflections, would eventually come to see that every resident was entitled to respect, regardless of outward appearances. Later that night, as Ryan sat at a small dining table enjoying a simple meal, his phone buzzed with a message from the building's administrator. The note was brief: an apology for the incident and an assurance that steps were being taken to improve the resident verification process, emphasizing a commitment to equality and respect for all newcomers. Ryan's fingers hovered over the screen as he composed a reply, his words measured and kind. He expressed his understanding of the challenges faced by those in positions of authority, while gently reminding them that true security and community are built on trust rather than suspicion. The exchange left him with a renewed sense of purpose, reinforcing his belief that even difficult moments could serve as catalysts for positive change. Before retiring for the night, Ryan took a moment to stroll through the quiet corridors of the condominium, reflecting on the day's events. In the soft glow of hallway lights, he passed by several residents who greeted him with nods and smiles, unaware of the earlier tension at the gate. The atmosphere was one of serene normalcy, a stark contrast to the heated confrontation that had marked his arrival. As he reached his door, Ryan paused, his gaze lingering on a framed photo of the Los Angeles skyline that adorned the wall. He thought about the complexity of human nature and the myriad ways in which people perceived one another. While the night had begun with suspicion and ended with an unexpected resolution, it had also revealed the possibility of transformation when one is willing to challenge ingrained prejudices. That night, as he lay in his new bed with the soft hum of the city in the background, Ryan felt a quiet satisfaction mingled with a lingering hope that his presence might inspire more open-mindedness in his community. The challenges of the evening had not diminished his calm or his compassion. Instead, they had deepened his understanding of the importance of empathy. With these thoughts in mind, he drifted into sleep, ready to face another day in a place where, he hoped, every resident would eventually be seen for who they truly were, rather than the shallow expectations that too often defined them. Later that night, as the city settled into its quiet rhythm, Ryan sat alone in his spacious living room, the soft glow of ambient lighting reflecting off the modern decor and casting gentle shadows across the floor. The events of the evening still echoed in his mind, every word exchanged at the gate, the palpable tension between him and the security guard, and the unexpected intervention of the administrator. Though the confrontation had been uncomfortable, it had sparked a conversation among the residents, a dialogue that hinted at a new beginning for the community. Ryan found solace in the idea that even moments of discord could lead to transformation. In the solitude of his apartment, Ryan reached for a leather-bound journal he kept on a low shelf. He began to write about the incident, describing not only the details of what had transpired, but also the deeper implications it had stirred within him. He reflected on how quickly judgments are made based on appearances, the worn truck, his casually simple attire, and how these superficial assessments can obscure the truth. His pen moved steadily as he wrote about the power of vulnerability, the courage it takes to remain calm in the face of blatant prejudice, and the responsibility that comes with using one's influence to foster understanding. Every word he penned felt like an act of defiance against the narrow confines of stereotypes and a quiet celebration of the human spirit's resilience. As the night deepened, Ryan's thoughts wandered to the lives of the other residents, the silent observers of his ordeal. He imagined the security guard, perhaps molded by years of following strict protocols, grappling with the conflict between duty and personal bias. He wondered if, in time, that guard might come to see that the true measure of a person lies not in their outward appearance, but in the quiet strength of their character. Ryan's own journey into this new chapter of his life was just beginning, and he knew that by living authentically, he could become a catalyst for change in a community that had, until now, been divided by unspoken prejudices. The next morning brought a crisp light that filtered through the large windows of his apartment, illuminating the soft hues of a new day. Ryan awoke feeling both reflective and determined. After a light breakfast, he dressed in a crisp shirt and a pair of well-fitted jeans, a subtle nod to his unpretentious style, and set out into the building. The corridors, once marked by an undercurrent of tension, now buzzed with a quiet energy. Neighbors greeted one another with genuine smiles, and even the once reticent staff seemed more engaged, their faces hinting at the internal conversations sparked by the previous night's events. In the communal lounge, where residents gathered over morning coffee, Ryan found himself at the center of gentle inquiries and heartfelt nods. A few residents approached him, expressing their admiration for how he had handled the situation with dignity and calm. One older gentleman, whose eyes reflected a lifetime of experiences, thanked him for reminding everyone that sometimes a simple act of honesty and patience could challenge even the most deeply entrenched biases. As Ryan listened to these words, he felt a profound sense of connection to the community, a realization that his presence here was not just about claiming a new residence, but about forging a bond that could redefine what it meant to belong. Throughout the day, as Ryan walked through the complex, he observed subtle changes in the atmosphere. The incident at the gate had become a topic of hushed discussions among the residents, and there was a collective determination to move forward with greater empathy. In the afternoon, a spontaneous meeting took place in the common area, where residents, including the previously stern security guard, gathered to share their perspectives and experiences. The guard, looking unusually introspective, admitted that he had allowed his preconceived notions to cloud his judgment. His apology, though tentative, resonated with many, and a dialogue ensued about the importance of understanding each other beyond first impressions. Ryan's calm demeanor and willingness to listen set a tone of reconciliation, and by the end of the meeting there was a shared commitment to improving the community's atmosphere of respect and inclusion. As dusk approached, Ryan returned to his apartment, the events of the day still swirling in his thoughts. He sat by the window, gazing at the sprawling city below, where the lights of countless lives twinkled in a mosaic of hope and possibility. He realized that the challenges he had faced were not isolated moments of conflict, but stepping stones on a path toward greater awareness and transformation. Every interaction, every sincere conversation, had the potential to erode the barriers built by fear and prejudice. In the quiet of the evening, Ryan resumed writing in his journal. He recorded his reflections on the day, noting the subtle shifts in attitude and the promise of a more compassionate future. His words were filled with a sense of purpose, a belief that by simply being true to himself and extending kindness, he could help reshape the narrative of a community long divided by superficial judgments. As the night deepened once more, Ryan felt a gentle satisfaction and an unwavering hope that tomorrow would bring even more opportunities for connection, understanding, and the quiet revolution of hearts that could change lives for the better.